fans got, as crazy as that sounds. They have websites to track it. And those fans were the ones who got testing put back in wrestling, to be honest with you. Yeah. It wasn't legislation. They twisted his arm. How can you have a guy die every 14 months and in a tiny little arena that wrestling is? Strongman has a tiny little arena not unlike that, and we're at 1 every 8 months right now. Yeah. So,
wow.
Education.
John, you wanted to?
Yeah, Representative Hackett, one of the main parts of your resolution I really applaud is the education aspect. And I would like to urge you to reach out to the Pennsylvania Athletic Trainers Society because, as I explained earlier, the majority of our members are involved in secondary schools and universities, and we certainly could be the ground troops, so to speak, to educate athletes on those levels. So please reach out to us. We'd be happy to get involved, and we'd be happy to, take this forward into secondary schools and the universities. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint, 2 of your athletic trainers at Ursinus, where your son will be going, we're very active in the Pennsylvania Athletic Trainers Society. And Pam Cladd and Kathy Wright, your son's in great hands, and they would not allow that kind of stuff to happen at that university. So I just applaud the education aspect, and please reach out to us in the future.
I'd love to, and thank you for that information. I actually, I'm not too knowledgeable on if the training of the athletic trainers, part of their training, has a segment in that training that deals with performance-enhancing drugs. Is that a part of their education and training now?
Yes, nutrition education and performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, even counseling, for that matter, is all part of our. The group is called CATIE. It's the Commission on the Athletic Training Education Programs, and they make every university that has a program, and there's 20 in Pennsylvania that offer such a program. Everybody is teaching the same thing, so all the athletic trainers that are coming out of those universities are all educated in recognition and how to handle these matters.
Oh, that's great. That's good news. But I will look forward to working with each and every one of you so that we can, instead of a bunch of talk, we can actually get down to some real good efforts on stopping this stuff. And if we have to give the a bill or some type of hate to say it, mandate, I'm willing to give that a shot. Sometimes you got to reach out there. So looking forward to working with all you guys.
I would just suggest, too, to you fellas that you might even want to pursue groups like Pennsylvania State Athletic Directors Association, various state coaches associations. Those are the guys and gals who actually they're right there with the kids along with the trainers. And I think if you can get them on board with this kind of a thing and get them trained up, so to speak, that could also help a lot.
I agree. I also think that let's not forget, guys, there's a lot of money in the sale of this drug, too. Yeah. So, we're not going to forget those folks that are selling it, and a lot of those that, of course, are selling it illegally. So there is money out there. There's obviously a market, or this wouldn't be happening. So I'm looking forward to taking care of that side of it also. And I'll give you a real quick funny story. I found myself sitting on a jury trial, and that's hard to believe as a cop for 26 years, but there's a civil trial where the individual was going against the doctors for a malpractice suit. And I thought it was funny here. It was obviously, a performance-enhancing drug suit where the kidneys were shutting down. I'm finding out this is a big problem. We have a lot of folks on dialysis and all because of kidney problems, and they're tracing it back to finding that they're using performance-enhancing drugs.
All right, Representative Hackett, thanks so much for joining us. We know you had another commitment, so we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us on the phone lines for the show.
Thank you all very much, and continue the good work.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Pennsylvania State Representative Joseph Hackett from the 161st District. We're going to take a break and be back with more of this topic on RCN Sports Talk. Right now, though, it is Joe's favorite part of the show. It's called Joe's Take, where Joe gets a short amount of time to sound off on any issue that he would like to talk about. And most pleasing to Joe, I'm not allowed to interrupt him during his take. And I do appreciate that. Mine today is just more of a shout out, really, to the Lehigh Valley chapter of the National Football Foundation's Hall of Fame. I was fortunate enough last Friday night to attend their awards banquet where they inducted 6 new members into the Hall of Fame. Andy Baranek from Allentown Central Catholic and East Stroudsburg University, Mike Ceramelli from Central Catholic and Penn State.
State, Tony Coca, RCN's own Tony Coca, and also Whitehall High School, Bill Peretta from Wilson, and Brett Snyder from Northwestern and Lehigh University. Brett's a particularly fascinating case. Of course, everyone knows Brett's fighting ALS and is fighting the valiant battle, and you wish him so well. And I was there because one of my kids, who I'd coached for many years, Rich Garza from Liberty, was inducted. Rich played at Temple for 4 years, played 6 or 7 years in professional football with the NFL and the World Football League. So Rich was also inducted, and I'm very proud of him. We call him Dietz, and I just wanted to congratulate all those fellas on that great accomplishment. Okay,
They're great shout-outs, but a short amount of time.
I know.
The boss forces me to give you a short amount of time during your segment.
Taking more time ripping
We'll be back with more
help.
RCN Sports Talk in just a moment.
Miss part of this evening's program or want to see one of our sports features again? Catch today's RCN Sports Talk show or any of our recent programs in its entirety at any time through RCN On Demand. It's easy. Go to down position 1 or hit the VOD button on your remote control. Then hit OK and click on RCN TV, then Sports, then RCN Sports Talk. Our shows are listed in descending order, so keep scrolling down to see our most recent shows. The program is free to watch and is available for up to 50 days from our initial air date. So if you ever miss a show or want to catch tonight's program again, check out RCN Sports Talk through Video on Demand.
Welcome back to RCN Sports Talk, a special program tonight. We're talking about steroids and PEDs in sports, covering a whole host of issues and misconceptions, and we're going to be talking about some ways that young people can steer clear of these things. And you know, Lou is an expert on this. Our guests are Lou Costa, owner of Iron Mill Gym, Al Thompson, publisher and editor of FootballStories.com, John Moyer, president-elect from Pennsylvania Athletic Trainers Society. You know, there's so many different ways we can go with this. Al, I'll start with you because you were directly involved in this. And as you pointed out earlier, these events, the strongman events, are no longer on ESPN. And one of the stories that involve them not being on ESPN involves you. So maybe you can kind of take us through what happened there.
Can I preface this by saying that I've always thought that someone's going to show up at Al's door one day. We're not going to hear from Al ever again. He ruffles the right feathers or wrong feathers, I'm not sure. But
to be honest with you, a major supplement company who's my sponsor, and I'll say it's MHP, had asked me. They had nothing to do with the ESPN thing. They just asked me to do intelligence work on the world's strongest man in 2008. And it was then that obviously I am credentialed to cover the Eagles. I've been blessed with that. And so it gets open some doors for you to talk to people. You see them at the games, whether it's with the Eagles, the Giants, Jets, or at the Super Bowl. And so I did some research on it, and what I found out was that it was very unpopular amongst the on-air talent. That here you have, we're going to call out Ryan Braun or Jason Giambi or Barry Bonds as being a cheater, and coming up next, world's strongest man. We're making money on steroids, but we're calling out people who are getting caught with it, which is the whole beauty of this confrontation that Representative Hackett's resolution causes. It causes these collisions. And people had to make decisions on it.
One or the other.
But through the process over the next few years was keeping in contact with these people inside ESPN, and eventually developing a way to eventually have it. It already had 7 toes near the cliff, and what we did was basically the final shove off the cliff and got it off the air. And what's disturbing about it is that IMG World had all the time in the world to start drug testing. Everybody loves strongman. This is not an anti-strongman thing. I'm here with, a strongman, and this is about drug testing. This is not about a beautiful sport, a wonderful sport.
Well, that's
they
a
don't
major
need
point
it.
too. Is the last thing you'd want is to have it gone. I mean, the thing that we're championing through our federation and stuff we're doing is we want it to be tested. That's because once you test it, then the questions are gone about the sport. So the last thing that we would want to champion, I know Al's involved, Al thinks the same thing, is to have it be gone. You just want the main people that are involved in these sports to test them, to have that filter down through the athletes to the kids, to the younger athletes.
So the thing is it isn't to get rid of the sport. It's to get rid of the people that are running the sport that refuse to test, whether it's at IMG, whether it's at the Arnold, whether it's at America's Strongest Man. If these people aren't going to it's like, how did the NBA get rid of fighting? They took the game away from them. Why did Charles Barkley stop fighting and spitting on people and all that? Because they took the game away from them. The money meant nothing. So we are taking the event away from you, all right, if you don't start testing. Right. This was the goal, and it happened. And of course, IMG went right to CBS Sports Network, who they have a relationship with, and got it right back on the air. Much lower visibility, but it's still on the air. We don't want it off CBS Sports Network. We don't want to see sponsors not get their bang for their buck. We just want it drug tested, for crying out loud. And why is it such a big deal for this massive corporation, billions of dollars, just got sold to William Morris Endeavor? Right. Why can't you just test your qualifiers and the 30 guys who go to the world's strongest man? And that's the question that we've been asking. Forbes magazine has been asking. They have a television show coming up at the end of the month on the S Network, which is carried as on RCN. Yep. And we want to know why. Why don't you just test? I mean, what's the big deal? And and we don't want to have people paranoid or parents afraid of supplements. The supplements are work. They're safe as long as you follow any directions, anything you ingest. So there's nothing wrong with MHP or Metrex or any of these brands. I know Lou works with some people. Maybe he wants to talk about how supplements have helped him get this tremendous size, and of course, it's hard work.
Well, and the main thing too is if you take away performance-enhancing drugs or steroids from strongman, the main thing me as a promoter, and I wanted to thank, I don't want to interrupt Representative Hackett when he was on, but it gives people like me a platform to show the sport the way it should be shown. Visually, it wouldn't change the sport of strongman or the sport of anything like that. There would still be guys my size and much bigger that I know, not for a fact, but that are tested or they're willing to be tested. I guess that's a better way to put it. That are willing to have the test done on them, and that support the way we would like the sport to be presented through testing and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make that clear that it's not, I don't think the sport would change, and that's the other question why we asked, why was the sport not tested at this point? Because it's such a small viewership already when there's such high, there's such a high ceiling for the viewership and the excitement about the sport. Why not just test it and put it in and change the culture? That few people have such a major role. They don't understand the trickle-down effect that's happening from those athletes down to the high school athletes, and that's the main thing with us. But as far as the supplementation, I'm a high school football coach. I've coached strength athletes, high school athletes for the last 10 years of my life. And the main thing, and I don't want to take away from MHP or Study Core, the people that sponsor me, but the main thing kids need to be concerned about, and the steroids kind of lead to this, is there's no shortcut. The main thing you have to do as an athlete to kind of get away from the steroid thing and more towards the athlete is you have to eat whole foods. Food and your nutrition is 10 times more important than anything you could buy off the counter, and light years away from the damage that a steroid would do for the little bit of benefit you might get from that age, which is completely harmful to that age group.
No, after our break.
Okay.
Because I know we're up against that.
Yeah, we'll take our final time out of the evening. We'll be back with more on this issue and time for our Sports Talk timeout. And it has been an exciting week locally for the final week of the LVC baseball regular season, with a lot of the top teams playing each other. Emmaus defeated Parkland this week. Parkland defeated Whitehall. Whitehall defeated Nazareth. And our Sports Talk cameras caught up with those teams and got some post-game reaction on their season and their outlook on the LVC playoffs next week.
We have been playing well, but these kids have been together for a couple of years now. A lot of these kids have been here for 3 years, and it's starting to show when you get in these kind of games.
It means a lot. I mean, we're all